Hey everybody, it's Sunday. Sunday. I feel like we need something else there. You know what I mean?
Well, don't forget that Manapot had their Invisible Sunday today.
They did. Oh my gosh. It was so good to see them back on the stream.
Very exciting.
Zach, we love you. Just saying. Um, yes, I'm totally fangirling. Anyway, we love Manapod Studios. If you don't watch them, go watch them. They're some of our absolute favorite people. Anyway, it is Sunday. It is 8:30, and it is time to open up the Citadel Lounge. I am your host, Josh Wallace, the keeper of the keys to the lounge and the mini bar. Apparently, so make good friends with the guy that's got that key. So.
And I am Joanne Wallace, the angel of Angel Citadel, and I'm making use of the Keeper of the Keys tonight.
So what are we talking about tonight?
My favorite thing! I'm so excited. You know them, you love them, they clitter, they clatter, they rock. Math rocks.
Shiny math rocks go clickety clack.
Tonight, one of our one of our lovely friends that hangs out on Angel Citadel, mentioned that perhaps we should talk about dice and the different dice mechanics different games use, from the old ones to the new ones.
Yes, indeed. So thank you, James. We appreciate you. Not only that, we appreciate a couple weeks ago your time running us through a little bit of Mort Borg. That was kind of fun. So if you get a chance to play with him, James Fellows, he's awesome. Just plan for him being in Australia, so the time zones might be a little bit weird, but totally worth it. So, math rocks.
Shiny math rocks go click clack.
All right. One of the very first memories that I have about role playing was when I got my own copy of the Red Box, and they gave you those dice that had just been molded, and it came with a white crayon. And you had to color in the numbers yourself.
I used to have a set like that. They were from Scientology, though.
Seriously?
Yeah, they were like really sharp, pointed rocks, dice that they had that didn't get tumbled at all, that they sent to me, and I had to color those in. And it was kind of cool. But because they hadn't tumbled, they were supposed to be better uh, percentage wise as to what they rolled.
Kind of like the Vegas dice, right?
Yes.
So sharp versus rounded corner. Shoot, in ASL, there's a whole freaking war zone going on about dice and whether or not rounded or sharp corner dice are better. Personally, I prefer dice that don't hurt me. So, that kind of like rules out the D4. Certain sharp D6s like the ones in Vegas. Yeah.
Of course, don't forget that you can now get dice in all kinds of ways.
Mm-hmm.
From your lovely game store, your local gaming store, to ordering them online, to even finding them on Etsy now. They're a very popular product on Etsy. A friend of ours makes them.
Yep.
And I went blank on their name, so give me a sec while I go look them up.
Fook, does she mean game science dice, not Scientology?
Yes, game science dice.
Yes, she does mean game science dice.
I said Scientology because the guy that gave them to me was a Scientologist. That was weird. We're not going there. It was awkward. So awkward. He wasn't a bad guy, just little puffs.
Yes. So anyway, you encounter these weird dice one way or another, and somehow they've been completely um, associated with role playing games, with the exception of the D6. I mean, heck, Angel's Citadel. If you look at the logo, we have a D20 on our logo. Um, if you look at Critical Role, um, their logo's a D20. It's everywhere now. You see it on bumper stickers. You see it on um, you know, television, or what's that one science fiction show? The Strange, where they played D&D. They came out with a whole box set for it.
Stranger Things.
That one, Stranger Things. It's really becoming mainstream, and they're starting to be recognized everywhere. So it's very much no longer a symbol of oh my goodness, what's with those weird shaped dice, because all dice should be D6s. It's okay. Let's face it, the DCC dice are still a little bit weird, but D3, D7.
Okay. Yeah, I'll. My problem with the DCC dice is that they're ugly. Okay.
So dice must be pretty.
Look, if they're going in my collection, that means they have to be aesthetically pleasing to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm a little picky about what my dice look like because they're my dice.
So apparently, we can't play DCC until we get aesthetically pleasing dice. So if anybody out there that watches this or whatever decides that they want to be kind and give us or point us towards a dice maker that makes DCC dice that aren't solid color and ugly, I guess. I don't know if that means sparkles or like plastic flowers in them or something. But if you want to point us in a new direction with that, and they sell those kinds of dice, great. We'd love to pick up a set that doesn't look ugly.
Dice.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Well, when you have 800 sets of dice,
I do not have 800 sets of dice.
when you have 798 sets of dice, it makes it kind of hard to find them sometimes. Didn't you stick them in one of the... Anyway. So, yes, yet. So dice. We're not just talking about how dice look, though. As much as sometimes we might like to. Joanne's got. You mentioned, Fook, that you've got a friend that has dice, or that makes dice. We actually have dice molds. We're gonna get a vacuum chamber to do them better. But we'll be making dice at some point as well. So it's not just about the dice and how they look, though. When D&D first came out, there was somewhat specific uses for all those dice, and over the course of the next 10, 15 years or something like that, there was some variation of how those dice got used, but it wasn't really broad ranging. You branched out from using the full set of polyhedrals to, um, for instance, BattleTech was a strictly D6 setting, or Shadowrun, a bathtub full of D6s, whatever. World of Darkness was, D6s, but D10s. So, you didn't need a bathtub full of them, but you needed a good 10, 15 D10s in your repertoire. Fate's been around even before Fate. Fudge. You had the plus, minus, and blank dice that were D6s that you read as +1, 0, and -1. And then you had probably a few D100 systems. You had things like GURPS, right? A lot of that was D100 table based. So you had a little bit of variety, but it didn't really branch out as much as you see it now. DCC came along and started using some really odd dice shapes, and then they got crazy with mechanics. One of the new ones that we've got that I really dig is Defiant, and that uses upgradable dice. So you start out with a D6 with a target number of 5, and if you use a special currency, you can upgrade that dice to a D8 with a target number of still 5. And if you use it again, you can upgrade that to D10 with a target number of 5. So it goes from a 33% chance to success to a 50% chance to a 60% chance. And you shift a curve that way. We're about to get some dice for a system called Nibiru that uses D4s, but instead of making you try and pick up those pain in the butt pyramid D4s, they actually put the numbers 1 through 4 in cuneiform 3 different times on a 12-sided die, and gave you 6 12-sided dies. And they're metal, and they look kind of runic and cool, and it's kind of a neat gimmick. So there's all kinds of interesting uses that have evolved for dice. Ooh, another one. Fantasy Flight Games, the Genesis dice, the ones that they based the Star Wars dice from.
I like the app for that one.
Yeah, the whole, I don't know. I have trouble with symbols a lot more than I have trouble with math, doing it quickly. And so we typically use the app for the new Star Wars games, because it automatically counts for you what you got. But they've got those too. And all of this, there's a lot of discussion about what systems are best to use, and I would have to say, with our limited experience doing design work, that the system best to use is the one that works. So realistically, what we're talking about is, what effect do you want to have? Talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about what we're doing and what we think when we're designing our game.
Which part? I mean, are we talking about the dice ideas with the um? My mind went blank. Hang on, let me go pull up my notes.
So our system is looking at using a D10 as the base dice. Um, it's using D10s the way Blades in the Dark uses D6s typically. So you have dice that are contributed by attributes, you have dice that are contributed by skills, and you have a static target number. And you can add to those dice with assets or um, helping other people or upgrade those dice. We're going to have an upgrade mechanic, much like Defiant does. So the goal there was to say, okay, we want a dice that most people are going to have, and most people have D10s, especially if they're gamers. But you can get D10s in bulk, just like you can get D6s or D20s in bulk. So it's a readily accessible dice. 1 to 10 math is fairly easy, especially if you have to do multiples of it somehow. So if we ended up deciding that we wanted to play math games with numbers, 1 to 10 was fairly easy to do that with. And then we wanted to be able to shift. Or no, we did D6s, right?
We were talking about starting with D6s and then shifting to D10s.
That's right. I misspoke. So we're going to start with D6s for the dots, and then upgrade through dice to be able to go to D10.
We were doing dice to be upgraded with the use of assets and teamwork, because we both like the whole assets and teamwork ideas. Start with D6, move to D8, and then to D10.
But we didn't want to do that with target numbers. We wanted to use assets and teamwork to shift the curve of success, because it seemed to make more impact to us.
Yes.
So as you think about stuff like that, it really it gets back to that main question: what system, what set of dice, what probability curve is going to work for the game that you want to make or play?
Yep. Like with all the D20 stuff, I mean, it's most of D20 is basic math. It's you roll a D20 and then you'll add a static number. And then you either succeed or fail. There's no uh, shift there. It's either a success or a non-success. On the other hand, you'll get games that are like uh, Blades in the Dark, which are D6 based, but you roll a number of D6s. I think it's 4 max.
I want to say it's 6.
6 max, yeah. 6 max, and then you've got your fail on 1 or 2, your yes buts on 3 and 4, and then successes on 5 and 6, which changes the game flow, because it's easier for you to get a yes but or versus just no, you failed.
And not only that, it encourages you to go and complicate the story, right? Because even a 2 or a 3 or a 4 is a yes. Yes, you did the thing, but this other thing also happened, or but it complicated it somehow, or but it didn't work quite as well as you thought it was going to, and then this happens. And it offers the GM and the players ways to complicate the story and make it more exciting.
I mean, you'll also get the number of dice shifting when you look at the World of Darkness games, right? Only they use a D10. The target number doesn't change, but the number of dice you get to roll do, which changes your success rate.
That's right. Versus something like a Fate, where you always roll 4 dice, or a D20, where you typically always roll. I mean, there's two D20 systems out there now, but for the most part, when you say a D20 system, you're looking at one D20. Now there's some variation there, right? She talked about you roll a D20, you add a static number. Then you've got things like the cipher system, right, where you figure a target number from 0 to 10, and you shift the target number around, and then you roll a D20, and your target number is three times the target level. So if it's a level 3 obstacle, your target number is 9, you roll over a 9, you get it. But you're not adding a static number to the D20.
Yep. And back to the cipher system, also included in Numenera, the target number is going to shift. For example, in crafting in Numenera, you can get a couple of assets and then you throw effort at it, and that can bring the target number down to the point where you don't even have to roll.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're in, say, D&D, 9 times out of 10, I mean, sure, the DM can call whether or not you roll, but when you roll, it's a D20 plus. Yeah. And then this target number is just X.
That kind of gets back to the whole discussion we had the other week with narrative versus mechanical games. While they don't have to exist in a dichotomy, there are games that are more narrative or more mechanical, and D&D tends to fall on the more mechanical side of that, where you're taking dice and you're chucking it, versus like a cipher where you can bleed assets and effort and helping and things like that, to where your target number is 0 and you don't have to roll dice because it's an automatic success.
We can also talk about GURPS.
Ew. As I recall, yes. They typically do, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that GURPS love tables, right? And one of the big selling points for GURPS was options through random tables. So it was very much a
all right, so it looks like GURPS uses 6-sided dice for game mechanics with average rolls and D100s for table stuff.
Okay.
I went to go look it up.
Very nice.
We need to know this.
We do need to know this stuff. Take Traveler. That's a D6 game. But Stars Without Numbers is a D20 game. So even, it's not even genre specific.
Wasn't there a D20 game or a Traveler released as a D20 game?
Yes, there was a D20 Traveler. It crashed and burned. It crashed and burned hard.
I remember playing it once upon a time, many moons ago. Many. Did I mention many?
In a galaxy far, far away.
Actually, yes. It was in a studio apartment in downtown Austin. And I was playing with a couple of kids who wanted to play a space game. It was quite an interesting experience considering they were on opposite sides of the line, and that's all we're going to talk about that one. So yeah, dice have also changed a lot over the years, right? I remember the first dice being you got a handful of colors, and they were all solid. And now you can get all kinds of sparkly, pretty, fantastic, gorgeous dice. I like dice.
Well, and they've even gotten a lot of different materials, right? So dice used to be just plastic, and now you've got, what is it, wormwood, that's making these really sexy wood dice.
Yep.
You've got metal dice that are all over the place, not just solid core, but these really intricate hollow metal dice. So yeah, I mean it's pretty awesome.
Hey, hey.
How we doing, Nasser?
We're talking about dice tonight.
Dice mechanics, and games that use them, and what it means to use different dice mechanics.
I will never own more dice than any other human. Despite my desires to own dice more than any other human, it won't happen because there's only so much space in my house, and it comes down to an option of having dice or my RPG books or any of the 50 other million things that I own, because I'm a hoarder, but I'm not a trashy hoarder. I like to collect things. I like to own things. I like to have things that please me, things that spark joy.
And we all know role playing games spark joy, or we wouldn't all be here. Um, Speaking of which, we'll take a second and mention this. We just got two new books.
I'm so happy. So we got our first responders books. I'm very excited. Look for a review coming soon. And we got
Break
that
the Horizon.
Break the Horizon, which Josh is very excited for because it's a shiny Numenera book.
That's right. So Break the Horizon completes the latest Numenera Kickstarter. That one's all fulfilled now, so yay. And adds vehicles to Numenera. That's going to be interesting. I'll be curious to see how they did that. You sold a lot of dice back in the day because we had no game store. So what, you ordered them in bulk or whatever, and then parsed them out in sets or something, Nasser? Or what's that all about? Welcome back, Kelton. For those of you joining in, it's kind of a relaxed chat here at the Citadel, and you have questions or things you want to talk about, just drop them in chat. We'll answer them live. We love chatting about TTRPGs, and we want to chat about yours. So, yeah, you bet, man. I I didn't master the selling part, but I've bought several, I don't know, 15, 20 sets or something like that, and we've given them away probably now
I don't know, probably.
for new players. Yeah.
Yeah, we bought when I was running for the teenagers. We brought specific sets for the teenagers because their parents, while not poor, were not exactly able to just go out and drop $14 on a set of dice because this kid was into a lot of other stuff that was also expensive. Of course, also seeing their daughter's face light up when I got her that little pretty pink sparkly set. That was awesome. It was so cute.
That was adorable. All right, D&D 5e character dive. We have a fighter, a cleric, and a paladin. I have a million character ideas. What class would you go? Please give advice. Fighter, cleric, and paladin. That's a lot of muscle.
Yeah, I'm suggesting. Well, it depends on what level you are, right? Like if you're just starting out, then it's something to consider. If you're looking at being like three, level four, level five, I'd probably look at doing something like either a warlock with a criminal background,
Hmm.
to give you some rogue skills if you need them. I don't know what kind, the because I don't know what kind of campaign you're playing in. The other option is doing a cross class. I've done a lot of very successful cross classes that I've had lots of fun with.
The other option in 5e is you've got that path the rogue can take that's got spells.
Yeah, isn't it Arcane Trickster?
Yes, arcane trickster. Yep.
Yeah, but that still doesn't tell me what level you guys are going to be. So yeah, I would go with something either more bardic bent for a talky character or more of a rogue bent for the sneaky sneak. I'm rather fond of playing an assassin class, but that's just me. I like to stab people in the back and I like to shoot them in the face. And we've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3.
Oh my goodness, yes we have. I have a blast playing arcane tricksters, Kelton. I really do. Um, it's I enjoy playing the rogue. I enjoy being sneaky. I enjoy executing those hat trick maneuvers. And I love the spell set that lets me do stuff like that. So yeah, I'm all about the spell slinger rogues.
No, I am not going to have a character with an eye patch so you can mage hand the eye patch from one eye to the other.
Hush. That idea is so awesome. Don't knock it.
Yes, I really like the Fey Warlock, um, or the old one. You can go with the demon, but it's kind of I like going with the more insane style warlock. But yeah, I definitely advise a warlock or maybe a wizard, because you can get a lot. Your glass cannon though, just remember that it's not as bad as it used to be, unless because 5e it did beef up the wizard a little bit, but you're
Yep.
still a glass cannon. Phenomenal cosmic powder, squishy mortal body.
Well, and it's let's face it. The rest of the party is okay. Let's deal with challenges as they are. The wizard is all right. Give me an hour, and then I don't care what comes.
Have fun, Kelton.
Later, brother. We'll see you later.
I can't wait till tomorrow. That's going to be awesome.
That was a fun game. I enjoyed that a couple weeks ago.
So yeah, Kelton plays in Josh's Invisible Sun game, and then I started running a semi-home D&D 5e game in Midgard, and it's been a lot of fun plotting it and planning it, and I'm looking forward to the chaos I'm ready to unleash. It's going to be awesome.
Well, and the characters are fun too. You know. All right. So we talked a little bit about dice and dice systems. Why do you have so many dice systems? Well, dice are really all about probability, right? So the different dice systems that you can have represent different probability curves, and if you shift dice systems, you're going to shift those probability curves a little bit, and that's really the kind of game that you're playing, right? Um, that's one of the reasons that I found those upgradable dice to be so interesting, is because they shifted the probability curve so drastically. The other thing that makes for a really interesting game is a mechanic like you find in Ironsworn, or a new one that came out recently called the Gaia Complex, and that's having a variable target number. So in those games, how normally a GM or something would have a target number for a particular enemy set, based on like armor or defenses or something like that. Um, in Ironsworn, while you can play with a GM, you can also play it solo, and you can play it co-op and GM-less. And so they came up with a way to roll at the same time to set up a target number that's random. And if your roll, so it's two d10s, and if your roll beats one of the d10s, it's a weak success. If it be like the Blades in the Dark, yes, but. And then if it beats both the d10s, it's a strong success. And if it doesn't beat any, it's a failure. And that's kind of a cool little mechanic. The Gaia Complex works the same way, except instead of using d10s, it uses d12s. So the idea there is, you never really know. This is kind of a post-apocalyptic setting, and you never really know what works really well and what doesn't. And perhaps you find a chink in something's armor, or a weapon doesn't work as well as you think it should, or it works better than you think it should. And so it's kind of a neat little way to mess with that success curve in a way that promotes other stories being told, and it's kind of neat. So it's not just left up to the storyteller to introduce that random goofy, okay, this thing didn't quite work the way you thought it was, and so the story's going to veer off in this direction now.
Which does make for interesting storytelling. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy the whole Blades in the Dark thing so much, is the yes, but. It allows you to introduce something similar to the GM intrusions or player intrusions without actually having to push it. Chance decides the fate.
Or rely on the GM's memory, right? So if you're an idiot like me, you'll completely forget to use GM intrusions, which GM intrusions are how you get experience in the Cypher system, right? So, I mean, if I'm not using GM intrusions, I'm not handing out experience points. And that's one of the ways that players overcome challenges and do cool things. And it's not like I'm doing it on purpose or anything, but my memory sucks. So yeah, I have to use gimmicks to remember. But with something like Blades in the Dark, it's baked into the system, and that's really nice.
Of course, he also forgets to flip the Soothe card when we're playing Invisible Sun, so.
We're not going to mention that.
You're cute and I love you, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it really is. And the sad thing is, I struggle with that thought, because I'm not sure our game always needs it.
No, it doesn't.
You're supposed to change it every time you go into a new location, every time you cast a spell, every time you do this or do that or do the other. And it's like, okay, I'd be drawing cards all the time, but it's almost that goofiness of fate seems like it'd be really, really jarring.
Well, yeah, that's why there's text in the bottom that says, Or draw when you feel like it.
See, I'm not forgetting. I'm drawing when I feel like it.
Or when your wife helpfully reminds you.
That too.
Hey, honey, you think maybe we should do a soup card?
Ooh, yeah, let's do a suit card.
Yes, I do tease my husband. We've been together, what? Officially together, what, 4 years now?
4 years now.
But
And we've known each other
for
for
longer.
and have been gaming together for that entire time. So yeah, there's lots of inside jokes, lots of banter, lots of
This is what happens when you marry your gamer girl.
this is what happens when you marry your best friend.
That too.
So yeah, that's kind of covers the whole dice discussion that we had going on. I mean, she could show you some of her cool dice.
Yes. So these are my tallest dice. Aren't they pretty? I don't think they can see them.
So yes, we backed the tallest Kickstarter, and one of the add-ons that you could purchase at Kickstart was the tallest dice. Do we own a D100? No, we don't. Have I? Yes, I did. I hate the D100.
If I wanted a golf ball, I would go buy one.
Ding, 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 ding.
However, I do have a wonderful, lovely dice that I enjoy using called the location damage dice. Crap, I can't see it. There you go. Isn't that lovely? So basically, when a character gets a crit on them, or if they want this, they can use this. I can roll this to say where they get hit, like right foot, stomach, left arm, right leg, head, things like that.
As far as big number dice, the largest dice that I've ever owned that I would actually use, and
I have owned those. I gave them to my stepson for him to have because he really liked them because they were pretty. They were like a dark purple, and he really liked the style.
and I had a D30. And that actually rolled somewhat like a regular dice, although even it wanted to roll like that D100.
And yes, I do have giant foam dice, and I do have a giant stuffed dice. In case you were wondering.
Yes, the giant foam dice are great if you want to roll them on the floor. Also, they're great toys for little kids. So our granddaughter will play with her little green D20. It's, a foot or so in diameter, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. It's big enough to where she has to use two hands to pick it up. I mainly got it because when I was babysitting her and holding her in my lap, she would try to steal my dice. So I got her a big dice. And then I saw the foam dice and I had to have it because it was cute.
And then we've got a big purple stuffed dice D20 that's probably 2 feet on each side, 1.5 on each side, something like that.
Yeah, we picked that up at the our gaming store in Detroit.
And so that works really well if you want to, at the table, if you're playing an in-game game, and one of your teenagers is not paying attention, you can throw it at their head and get their attention really quick. No, I'm not actually suggesting that we start abusing children. That's a hypothetical. I've never actually done that ever in my life, more than 5 or 10 times a session. So anyway, why isn't there a standardized way to put the numbers on non-D6 dice? In our opinion, probably because no one cares. So the D6 dice are standardized because of the gambling industry, um, but the rest of them aren't actually used for anything that anybody would say matters, I guess would be a polite way to put that. Um, in other words, there's no money tied to it. So why go to the trouble of getting everybody together and saying, all right, this is how we're going to standardize the dice? Um, I mean, if you look at stuff like a D4 or whatever, it's basically standardized. But even then, um, it's you've got D4 and reverse D4, right? So the numbers are either at the top of the pyramid or at the bottom of the pyramid, and so the number triangle is either goes with the shape or is reversed and goes in the lines, and that's that's common. The ones that I remember from my youth were very much on the lines, and the ones that I see now most often are in the points. So it just depends, right? But yeah, that's why I guess there's probably not a standardized way, is because nobody's got any money riding on it.
Yeah, if you look at the bulk of the time before TTRPGs, you're looking at people playing with D6s at craps tables, roulettes. What's that other one?
It's just craps. Roulette's a ball.
No, what's that other one though? Yahtzee.
Or cribbage.
Yep. All these um, backgammon. You've got games like that that people bet on, and that's why the D6 is standardized. Whereas with the other dice, they're not as standardized because money's not involved, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? Harder to police because everybody and his brother can make dice. Yes, but that's typically only involving dice that you get in a set with like the D20s. Standard dice that you would use at a craps table always have the same setup. They're required to, if you're playing with D6s at a casino, they're required to have the same setup no matter what dice you're using because of legalities.
Yeah, and it's even worse than that, right? So the dice at casinos all have to have the same weight. They have to have the same, not just weight per dice, but weight per side. So the paint on the pips, that's why they don't dig out the pips on Vegas dice. They actually paint the pips on. But the mold of the dice is shifted slightly to weight away from the D or from the six side to account for the increased weight of the paint of the pips, the six pips versus the five and the four. It's insane.
And we're not talking a big weight shift. We're talking like
Milligrams. Yeah, it's nuts. But
and they all have to have the same buoyancy too. If you put them in a cup of water, they all have to equal the same.
Yep.
And the same number has to come up. And I think it's a 4. The 4 always has to float to the top.
There was a documentary that I watched on how those things were made. It was nuts.
But we're talking money. Right.
Lots and lots of money. And as much as I like, Monty Cook and Evil Hat and all these other game companies, there's no money there. I mean, even Monty Cook has run what 10, 12 million worth of Kickstarters successfully. That's nothing. Some executive at a casino gets a cold and they lose that much every day.
Basically, yeah. Dealers at casinos make really good money, though.
They do. They make crazy good money.
And then you've got the tips that you can get.
So yeah, that's the discussion of dice, really.
Shiny math rocks go click clack. Need some more. All the more.
So let's see. Things coming up. We've got next Friday. We're back playing Grim Dawn. We skipped our stream this week. We were not. It was not a good day.
It was a rough day. I had a migraine.
So we ended up not doing our gaming stream this week, but we'll be back next week. Next week we're also back with Invisible Sunday. So 3:00 Eastern time. Come join Kelton and Joanne and I and a couple other people as we go back to the actuality.
And no, we won't be back next Friday for Grim Dawn. We won't be on at all.
Oh crap! You're right. So I will be out of town with her Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we will not be getting back in time for our stream. So yes, we're not playing Grim Dawn next week either.
Yeah, we get to go to Virginia. It's gonna be awesome.
Here's hoping it's gonna be awesome anyway.
Okay, look, I'm gonna tell you straight up, it's gonna be awesome because this is why. It's a road trip, just you and just me.
This is true. I'm not gonna lie. That's really an awesome thing. And then we're back again next Sunday, right here, 8:30, in the lounge. We're opening up again. We'll have the fire ready for you. So yeah, it looks like we've got a potential topic in our Discord. Speaking of which, if you haven't joined our Discord and you're watching this, please take a look at our link tree. You can chase us around the internet there. And our Discord invite is on that link tree. Join us, chat about TTRPGs there. We've got an open question right now. Anybody that wants to posit a topic for us to chat about on this show right here. This was one of the topics that was posited. We've got another one, so we may be doing that next week. Other than that, feel free to join us and hang out and share crazy memes and talk about role-playing games here and everywhere else on the internet. Come join us at our website. We're going to be back here with reviews shortly.
It's been the world stops.
Good grief. It's been crazy busy. I've got 2 started, for crying out loud. And we've got, let's see, what else are we doing? We've got YouTube. Mm-hmm. So these videos will be up on YouTube if you missed those, or if you missed part of it, feel free to go take a look at those, along with our game playthroughs and live plays. They get posted fairly soon afterwards. We have Patreon. If you like what we do and you enjoy supporting us, $1 here every month, $3 or $10 gets you different tiers of benefits, including Patreon only content. So Joanne and I put together some things every month, or try to every month. We've done pretty good so far. And do those exclusively for our patrons to help them in their games. So we want to try and do that. Let's see, what else have we got going on? You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on MeWe. And of course here on Twitch. So that's kind of us in a nutshell and what we've got going on right now.
Yep. I'm still in class. Go me.
And I'm still that's the trip to Virginia. I'm hunting for jobs, so I've got a job interview down there. So we'll see what that does. But yes, Fook is a patron, so you should be able to see all that patron only content,
including my first map.
That's right. This last month, the patron only content was Joanne posting her first commercially available map.
Josh typically does the map making, but I wanted to try, so I tried, and I think I did all right.
You did. It was a pretty cool map.
I need more effort. I need more work on it, but that's okay. I'll get there.
But other than that, I think we're good for the rest of the night. So from our Citadel to yours, happy gaming.
Yep. Happy gaming.